that discomfort that you're smiling when it's coming up, you just like sit, you like, we need you to process through that, because you've created this massive thing that literally got here just because you were being you, and it just blew up, and life is trying to give you the money, and you're like, nope, we got to do it this way. So you just got to be like, we'll take it whatever way it comes in. Welcome to the Do the Impossible podcast. I'm your host, Jason Dries. Don't forget to join me every Monday for my 20-minute mindset alignment call. Go to mondaymindsetreset.com to get a sign-up link for yourself every Monday at 10 a.m. Central. On today's episode of the Do the Impossible podcast, I have Nelson Lin with me, and it's been fun being friends with Nelson because he has done some amazing things recently. He's the founder of the Subtle Asian real estate community that is over 20,000 members now, which I believe started in a freezing basement in the cold Chicago, and it's grown over 20,000 members. He's also helping his mom open a restaurant in Austin. He's doing a lot of cool things. Nelson, how are you, man?
Good. I'm glad to be on the podcast. And I'm in California right now because that's where the bulk of our community is. And so I'm doing a tour, just hitting up our little meetups, and it's always exciting to like send an email out and have 40, 50 people show up. So
that is cool. Yeah. Like I see you bouncing all over. I thought I saw you in Florida also on a camping trip.
Yep. And it's also nice just to run away from the restaurant for a little while. It's been very grueling. We've been slammed like lines for the last week or so.
Well, that's good. It's got business, right? Yeah. Well, congrats on the successful launch. So what should we talk about today for coaching? What could you use some coaching on?
I think our main business for Subtle Asian real estate has been, I've been trying to figure out more or less how to execute in a down market. Our group is very real estate focused, but we're still very interactive. We're still very close, at least for the main core group. Based on our KPIs that we can see, typically there's around 1,000 or to 2,000 people who are actively engaging consistently, who show up to events and whatnot. But on our KPIs, it shows like 15,000 who interact with the social media on a month-to-month basis out of the 20-something thousand. Okay. And so, that's still pretty high for interactivity, in my opinion, to have still like 1,000-ish people who are concurrently going out to our meetups or attending events. But the idea is like, do we grow bigger? Because we haven't really done any advertising outside of the group and whatever the algorithm blesses us with. But also, how do we make it so the culture doesn't get diluted by growing too quickly?
Okay. So do you want to grow?
We do want to grow, yes.
Okay.
At the end of the day.
And you also like the culture of it.
The culture is a big part of why I think people keep coming back.
How did you create this culture in the first place?
Mostly through memes. The demographic of our group is largely Asian, East, West Coast, college educated, finance, medicine, or whatever their parents forced them into, like engineering. And so they tend to have high W-2 incomes, but their parents, if they were to invest in real estate, a lot of them would buy cash, for example. And so there's very little financial education in that. You don't really have a rich uncle that owned like 1,000 units, so you could just ask. And so the group came together because we became each other's rich uncles to some degree, where we would give each other advice, tax, information. And the culture came from the fact that we love to share and we want to help pull each other up because the super majority of us are either direct immigrants or the first generation of Americans from those immigrants who came to the U.S.
Okay. All right. So you want to go bigger. You've got a culture you've created, very specific niche. You know it really well. That's your situation. So what do you want coaching on?
Pretty much, how are people growing in a down market? Either our headcount or just like attending events, because the people who keep showing up now are the ones who are real estate professionals. We used to have a lot more people who were curious or lurking, and it seems like a lot of those members are now taking a step back now that the market has shifted, right? And the people who are committed, they're still going to come out. At least that's what we've noticed. And so the question is, how do we keep growing that contingent, or how do we create programming so that they want to keep coming out? You know,
The real estate professionals.
real estate professionals, or turning our existing group from lurkers into more active participants.
What would that mean if they were more active?
Ideally, they would actually come out to a meetup event or one of our big national events, like whether it's a camping trip or a field trip somewhere.
Okay. Does it matter if they're doing if they're real estate investors or not?
Honestly, not really. It's like the community driven aspect of it is what matters. And we've already been stepping back a little from just real estate only anyways, and talking about general finance and other things that affect people within our niche.
So what is is that one of the primary problems you're trying to solve right now? Like engagement? Is that how you'd say that?
Engagement, and then, how much do we dilute and then, pretty much, engagement and enrollment. Those are like the two things we're trying to figure out. It's harder when the market's down, so.
Is it?
I don't know. I feel like it is. Our user growth numbers have slowed down. So the KPIs that we normally track, like new members have decreased, even though engagement is still around the same.
Okay. So what are you tracking, looking at like total numbers, or like what's the metric? Total members?
Right. So Facebook has and Instagram, all these sites have now like a way to track. And our KPI was originally number of members. And then the other way we track is through our CRM. So if they go to an event, they have to check in, and that's how we make sure that they actually attended and went out to a large event. Between that, our conference and these in-person events, that's like a success metric of like getting somebody to actually come out.
Okay. And why do you want it to grow?
I think the mission, at least what we're trying to do, is a lot of the people, at least from our background, they don't know what they are doing. And without a community to push them, they won't really want to do it either. And so we had a lot more people show up initially when times are good, because it was very evident that you can't really do this alone. And so we would like to maintain the culture, but then part of that maintenance of culture and retention also drives our bottom line revenue, right? And so that way we can support the group, make it sustainable, and keep growing from there. I also run a syndication business, so now a lot of these people are also now funnels to my real estate syndication. And so it would be nice to retain the membership, but also get more people who are active, because usually the people who invest are ones who come to an event, see what it's about. And that's how we usually build the trust with each other.
Okay. So your problem you're trying to solve is engagement, because you're operating under the perception that it's down this year. Enrollment is down, yes. Engagement is down. Well, everything is down the first quarter because people froze. Like first quarter, people were frozen. What happened last month?
Last month, I've been seeing obviously more increases, for sure. But, even the increases are slower than they've been in the past. So.
Okay. Yeah. Well, because real estate has been taking a hit. Investors have.
Pretty big one.
Pretty big. Well, big one, small one. It is different. Now, there are still people making money. Now, if we put aside Q1, April is up, right? April is higher than Q1.
That's
probably.
True.
Yeah. So May is probably still on an upward trend. And are you sure that you actually have an enrollment problem or an engagement problem?
That I'm not sure of. I just want to increase it, because when I say the numbers out loud, we have 1,000 something active members out of 20,000. It seems hard that we only have 5% of the community that's the most active, 5 to 10, and then the rest of it, of the community, just stays in the background. And I guess they kind of try to watch what the active portion does. And I feel like we could bring in more of those lurkers into the active community.
If you were generating more revenue out of the active members, would it matter how many total members there were?
Probably not. So it's definitely a revenue portion as well.
Yeah. So are there other ways you can draw additional revenue from the current members?
Yes. And a lot of it involves actually buying more real estate together as a community. Mm-hmm. And so that is kind of what this trip is for at the moment. Mm-hmm. So in order to maintain the group and have more sustainable income that isn't related to just membership and enrollment, that membership and enrollment is now hopefully investing with us in funds. And then we're using a portion of that to sustain the community events and resources and all that other stuff that helps us grow and keep us fed.
Yeah, because I'm. What's the most exciting area for you to focus on? But regardless of needing to kind of run the business, like what part do you enjoy the most and is the most fun?
The community aspect for sure. I love coming out to these events. I'm flying out and I'm hitting 3 cities in California, and I find that to be the most fruitful part of what we're doing. In particular, when I go to an event, someone says, "Hey, this actually changed my life when I went to an event last year." Yeah. That is what makes us excited. That's what makes us want to keep doing what we're doing. So,
and isn't that how you got here?
Yes, it is.
So are you currently doing what you did to get here?
Yes, but doing what we did to get here, initially we grew a lot with that, and now it feels a little less growing, I guess. Even though we're doing the same thing, that's kind of what I'm concerned about.
Okay. Are you going to solve it?
We hope to. The thing is, the existing membership is like, no, this is great. What we have here is awesome. And I just want to share that with more people though.
Okay. Fair. I don't know if 5% of your Facebook group as paid members is actually bad. Like what do the active members pay? What's their cost of that?
So they mostly pay for events. We don't have like a recurring charge yet or any sort on the membership. And we've figured that there's this person, Alex Formosi, I don't know if you've heard of him. Mm-hmm. We were thinking about how do we grow our goodwill faster or our revenue faster? And it seems like every time we take more revenue, it garnishes from the goodwill portion. And goodwill grows a lot faster through word of mouth from our experience. And so that to us has been something that's been working. But every time we take revenue, it feels like we're cutting from the other, the goodwill thing that we've been banking on. And so we're trying to figure out, are there ways to generate revenue without making it seem like an interaction that is a transaction, right? So we back in a lot of our revenue. We take referrals from people that are successful, that successfully execute. We take sponsorships. We take, conference tickets, but people feel like that's a worthy transaction because they went to an event and et cetera. And so I think part of it is our value proposition is back-ended. So it doesn't feel like our costs are high in terms of the barrier to entry to our group. And so within the active community, they'll pay for events that we run. That keeps us funded in a lot of ways. But we want something that doesn't ostensibly feel like we're extracting value immediately. And the Asian community in particular, that's college educated, they're very sensitive to the dollar value amounts.
But if you're back ending the value, the perception of value on the front end is lower.
Or we're back ending the revenue extraction.
Back into the revenue. But because one thing I've noticed from being around the subtle Asian real estate is I've noticed almost and I may be wrong, but almost like a resistance to charge.
Yes.
And my hallucination is that resides within you and your team and not necessarily within the audience. Because this started out as a community thing. It started out as a meetup thing, but it grew into something that started to be impactful and transform lives.
Yes.
And what I right now, you have an immediate probably source of probably $10,000 to $50,000 a month that you could get out of 1,000 members, probably in 60 days.
Really?
Yep.
10 to 50,000. Okay.
Probably recurring with an elite client group.
We were thinking about that as well. Yeah.
Because when you did,
we don't know how to do that.
well, okay. But so, the financial mindset of yourself and the collective of your leadership team the business will match that financial mindset level. Okay. Now there are patterns culturally in different cultures around money. Absolutely. But at the same time, people who are willing to grow and expand invest in themselves. I'm guessing there's some people that don't go that far because they're just free meetups, where if it was a paid service, it would be more clear, more specific on the value, because the higher the higher the price tag, the higher the perception of value. Right. So my hallucination and my business coaching experience is telling me that the reason it stopped growing is because it's time for you to pivot. And what that's probably going to take is probably all of you looking at what the mission is and how you serve your clients. And if you're unwilling to receive money for the services that you're offering, you're not in a balanced exchange, and the business won't grow. Because money is the medium of exchange between service and value. So if we're like, oh, it's free, okay, then whereas you say, hey, it's free, go to the meetups are free, the events cost tickets, but you also have 1,000 people right now who've given you money before, they've liked you, and I guarantee there's probably at least 50 that would invest more money to be around you and learn. Like if you're running a successful syndication, there's people in there that would invest more. You could probably get 50 people to pay you $1,000 a month for an elite mastermind in 30, 45 days.
So we've actually started that at the moment, but we've back-ended it in a way that is like, you have to invest 100 in our next fund, and 10K of that is your deposit. You can get it back within 30 days, but beyond that, if you cancel and you don't invest with us 300,000, we collect the 10. So that's our initial first batch. And we've had a lot of people drop out. It went from 15 to 9. And so we're like, okay, is there something wrong? How do we tune it? And so
you're asking for 100. You're asking for 100 grand. That's why.
Yeah.
I'm saying ask for $1,000.
Okay.
A month.
Okay. $1,000 a month.
$1,000 a month.
Okay.
Because you get $1,000 a month, you get 40 people in there, you make a mastermind community, you could do Zoom calls, you do a private group, you can do special events. Then you could do specialized events that cost a little bit more, but they're more intensive because the players are higher. So it's basically you're providing the higher, and the reason it costs more is because that's a qualifier. Mm-hmm. Because when you're in a room of people, of membership that everybody's paying $1,000 a month, you're going to have this level of commitment and success. If you have somebody paying $5,000 a month, you're going to have an even higher level group, right? If you have free, you're going to get the equivalent of that. But right there, that's the low hanging fruit. Now, trying to fund the syndication is great, but like you tried it, you got 9 people out of 1,000 that have 100 grand. But there's a lot. My guess is you probably have hundreds of people, who want to be able to give you 100 grand but can't. And they want to be in that. So you basically went from the level of the entire community to the super elite level.
Yeah.
You need to go to the middle first.
Okay.
Build the second layer. And then with the second layer, then when you've got 50 people paying you $1,000 a month, then you pull out 10 people paying you 100.
So the 100 is meant to be an investment in the product. They're not, it's like it felt, it was a way for us to try to back end it again, which was like, So I understand.
You have, it's your way of getting money without feeling like you're taking money.
Yes.
So it's the thing that's going to help you get through this is like those fans want to give you money.
Right.
And if you're not accepting it, they're unwilling to get value out of you because it's an exchange.
I see.
So your homework assignment, there's a book
Okay.
called, and I'll send a text it to you after. It's called Love Money, Money Loves You.
Okay.
And just listen to it, and it will make your entire team listen to it, because it will transform the life. But and I do respect and appreciate the values and the integrity and that you're aligning this business with. I do 100%. You're like, we create this, we wanted to make it accessible, we wanted to do that, and the way we add more value is to make this business profitable. And the only way for the business to be profitable is to make money, to receive money. So there are the people. Now you start receiving more money in the business. Now you can serve 1,000 people at events. You can serve 50 at the super elite event. And then you could bring in all these cool speakers and stuff for them and do your fun stuff. And then you've got money that you could bring sponsorship people there, because now you've got extra money to help with.
Yeah.
But the system has to generate. So you need to sit that discomfort that you're smiling when it's coming up. You just like sit. You're like, we need you to process through that, because you've created this massive thing that literally got here just because you were being you, and it just blew up, and life is trying to give you the money, and you're like, nope, we got to do it this way. So you just got to be like, we'll take it whatever way it comes in.
Got it. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I do need to do it that way. So it's hard, like you said, because sometimes I still feel like even 1,000 a month is like, what is our value that we provide for 1,000 a month? Because at the end of the day, they are trying to extract their own value. And so if I can get 50 people to agree to it, great. But then what can I offer for 1,000 a month that makes it feel worthwhile without having an initial group or people who are already there that are providing that exchange that people are getting money out of, hypothetically, essentially. So,
well, the value, the meaning of the value comes from the client, not you. You could tell them that, but the value is their perception of it. And and simply is, you do what you do, and this is what it costs.
Got it.
Because focusing from the value-based point of view is also a scarcity model too.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we look at your expertise, you've been in GoBundance, you've built a big community, you've got real estate, you've got a syndication. Like, you could be coaching people at $2,000 an hour in real estate, right? You could be. So the number that you want to charge is the number that excites you. Because would you be excited if they were paying $1,000 a month, or would you be excited if they were spending $250, or would you be excited if they were spending $3,000 a month?
It's true.
Because, like, when I've had my coaching rates go up over time, the amount that my level of excitement scaled upward. And you could say that was greedy, but at the same time, it's not greedy. It's like, it's a level of impact, right? Like, if I'm doing a Zoom call for 150 people, I'm energized. If there's 20, I'm like asleep, because it's an exchange. So it's like, that's life telling me that that's where I need to be. And you don't, and if remember, there's an 80-20 rule, right? 20% of the audience is going to bring 80% of the revenue.
Right.
So if you need help coming up with a model if you need help with a model, like, literally you go get an account on Circle that's $90 a month. And then you just do a weekly call, and there's your and then you could do a mastermind. You could work through a deal. You could talk through financing. You could bring in an expert who's done this. Boom, 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 boom. It's that simple. Then you create a podcast where you're just interviewing, talking about Asian real estate and families, and then it continues to grow.
Yeah. I think you have a good point. That's because I've actually been exploring Circle as the model for retaining people afterwards, because they've committed 10K, for example, and that's a one-time charge. And the idea is, if I can retain them afterwards, it would then be some sort of recurring monthly charge to keep us afloat. And you're right. The number we only need like 8 or 9 people really to sustain it enough that I can pay my co-founder to quit her job, so.
But you're still thinking too small. Like you should be at $750,000 of revenue a year or more, right? It should be like, cause you've got
we did $250,000 last year, by the way, just on alone, on the free portion and like the events and referrals and sponsors. So you're absolutely right. We really should be pushing it to 3/4 because our goal this year was try to hit $1 million, and we're probably not going to do that.
Whoa! No. It's only May. It's only May. It's only May. Don't stop
it could
now.
all change. Yes, that's true. So
yeah, you get 50 people, $1,000 a month. And that's 50. We got 6 months left. That's 300,000 right there. Then you do an elite 4-day retreat.
Yep.
That's $5,000 a head for 10 people. That's 50,000. Like people want to do this stuff. The value is there. And one of the most challenging, this has actually been coming up a lot lately in the coaching calls I've had, is that one of the most challenging parts of our success is believing it.
I agree.
So like if you and your team want to talk to me, I will happy to give you all a call. And that's like the audience is there. They're there.
Yeah. We've been bumping the idea around for so long. It's just hard to like put a foot on it because there's other things we're doing at the same time. And we always backburn it because we're like, that's somewhere off in the distance. But
no, it's because it's the most uncomfortable thing to work on. That's why you guys keep backburning it. Like, let's be honest, right? So that's uncomfortable. And then the way you make it sticky is you get a tight community and you build connections, and then you can build on adding services, right? You can negotiate, hey, if you're part of the inner circle, this real estate firm gets you a discount on this, or you get this access to this prospecting tool, or you get access to this coaching thing or whatever, right? Like you can build on, you use the power of the community to provide supplementary services. It's a value add, then it gets stickier.
Right. We're putting together, like a directory of people for contracting services, for example. That's like a unique directory that other people can't access. Stuff like that. But
take it a step further, the subtle Asian real estate partner ecosystem. And to be a part of that ecosystem, you have to be validated by 3 different people in the community, and you pay a one-time $5,000 fee to get listed.
No, I agree.
So so I would also stop focusing on yourself. What do they want? What do they want? Yes. What would bring value? I guarantee if we went to those 1,000 people and say, would you be open to a recurring call 3 times a month? Yes. How do I sign up for that? Like right there.
Yep.
And all you have to do is focus on helping them.
No, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little hard, but okay. Send me that book. I'm gonna read it.
Let's do a quick alignment. Okay.
Okay.
Repeat after me. I take full ownership of the reality.
I take full ownership of the reality.
Where I have no resistance to making money.
Where I have no resistance to making money.
And I have no resistance to receiving money.
I have no resistance to receiving money.
Because I love helping people.
Because I love helping people.
And if I want to help more people. I have to receive more money.
I have to receive more money.
Because that's how life works.
Because that's how life works.
It's an exchange.
It's an exchange.
So I no longer resist the exchange. Of services for money.
Of services for money.
I believe this 100%.
I believe this 100%.
Okay. What if this is actually the fun part? Oh, wow. We can make a lot of money doing this?
That's true. Yeah. What if we make a lot of money doing this?
Yeah. Okay, Nelson. You good?
Yes. I'm ready to tackle making money. So.
Awesome. And there's people here that'll help you just like me. So thanks for showing up today for the podcast. Thanks for being here. It was great. Good luck with the restaurant.
Yes.
And if anyone listening wants an experience of coaching, go to freeintrosession.com. I'm Jason Drees with the Do the Impossible podcast. I will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.